I still can't believe the hogwash I just watched. I thought The Weeknd would never have something as bad as The Idol. How wrong I was. His new movie with Jenna Ortega just came out, Hurry Up Tomorrow. It debuted with a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a very accurate score. This film is so bad.
The Weeknd just released what many are calling the worst movie of the year. But is it really that bad? Only 2 years after the failure of his first ever TV show, The Idol, which was also slammed by critics and cancelled after 1 season, The Weeknd is back on screen. This time not only in theaters, but once again slammed with viral hate online.
Shut the f up! Shut the f up! Shut up! What are you doing? What the f are you doing? I have to go right now. I'm getting calls. I have to catch a flight. I'm on a tour.
Thanks to clips such as this one, now turned into funny memes, fans are begging The Weeknd to please just stick to music. However, with some even arguing it's tarnishing his legacy.
This man's acting is so bad that it's starting to ruin his life.
All of this raises the question, is The Weeknd's acting truly that terrible? Or are these viral clips being taken way out of context? Well, in order to help us get to the bottom of this question and learn exactly where all this backlash is coming from, of course I had to go see The Weeknd's new movie for myself, titled Hurry Up Tomorrow, sharing the same name as his latest studio album. As you can see, not one other person was in my theater, which I honestly kinda expected though, after seeing how it flopped at the box office.
Because I care about you too much, and I just want to help you, Abel.
Shut the f up! Shut the f up! Shut up! What are you doing?
As I walked out of that AMC, I definitely had a few thoughts, especially after Abel had been hyping this film up and marketing it as the conclusion to his Weeknd moniker, basically the final chapter. And although this has left fans worried he might close out on a negative note, is The Weeknd actually going to retire? With over 100 million monthly listeners and literally the #1 most streamed song in history, Blinding Lights under that same artist name, rebranding would be an insanely bold decision. But before we can answer if Hurry Up Tomorrow is truly the last we'll ever see of The Weeknd, it's important to note this isn't even Abel's cinematic debut.
Well, cinema's always for me, it's always kind of been my #1 passion. And then, I happened to sing and make music and kind of felt like a little detour that, like a little cheat code to kind of get into this. And I always wanted to make movies.
Referring to his 15-year music career as one of the biggest pop stars the planet's ever seen as a cheat code to get to his true love, it's no secret The Weeknd is a massive film enthusiast. And to take it a step further, he actually made his own acting debut in one of my favorite movies of 2019.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Starring Adam Sandler, Lakeith Stanfield, Kevin Garnett, and Julia Fox back in her prime. Released via A24, Uncut Gems tells the story of a gambling-addicted jeweler in New York City who is struggling to pay off his debts. However, as we can see here, one scene takes place at a nightclub party in which a quote, upcoming R&B artist, The Weeknd, played by himself, is performing. The movie is set in 2012, hence Abel returning back to his crazy hairstyle for the role, but prior to playing his song The Morning, The Weeknd's cameo begins like this.
Where the f***'s the black light?
What's going on back there?
No, I asked for black light. I'm not performing until there's a black light on the stage.
Put on the black light!
They get him the black light like he demands, but immediately after performing, The Weeknd then sneaks off into the club bathroom for some explicit activities with Sandler's girlfriend before this happens.
Jesus, we were just doing nothing happened.
The Weeknd fighting Adam Sandler to a Kendrick song is all I've ever wanted, the top comment reads. This fight in the club would be The Weeknd's only scene in the movie, but again, as one of my favorite films of the year, Uncut Gems was a solid introduction for Abel onto the big screen. Just playing himself, and with very few spoken lines. As we're about to see, The Weeknd would try going back to this similar approach, acting as himself in his latest movie, but before that flop arrived, first came The Weeknd's disastrous TV show. My first thoughts after watching The Idol was that it would have worked way better as a movie, and as it turns out, it was originally supposed to be one. The pandemic happened and theaters are not a thing anymore at the time, The Weeknd recalls of his original intention. Then it was meant to be a short miniseries, but it ballooned into a 5-parter. It could have been great if it had a beginning, a middle, and end, but it just ended on middle, he laughs.
And overall, I do think it was a waste of time. Like, I don't think the fun bad moments outweighed the overwhelming boredom or disinterest I had in the show.
Thanks to the pandemic in 2020, The Weeknd was forced to totally change his plans with The Idol. But combined with then an unexpected exit by the original director after nearly 80% of the series had been finished, resulting in so many confusing reshoots that we're about to see. Instead though, in 2020, The Weeknd did not let the pandemic hold him back, going on to release what he describes as his magnum opus After Hours that same year. Along with being his most commercially successful album of his career, The Weeknd was also able to successfully craft a cinematic narrative throughout the entirety of After Hours music videos and performances. Even the album title itself, After Hours, not only shares the same name as this Martin Scorsese 1985 film, but again, the visuals for the album are clearly inspired by various films by Abel's favorite directors. From this shot in the Blinding Lights music video, side by side to Scorsese's, this one of Abel in LA's 2nd Street Tunnel, very similar to Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. This one straight out of Heath Ledger's legendary Joker in The Dark Knight. Or like here in the Heartless video, inspired by the 1998 film Fear and Loathing, where The Weeknd debuts his red suit. Now a signature of that After Hours era, Abel's red suit was yet another movie reference to Robert De Niro in Scorsese's 1995 film Casino.
Take my family back home in Toronto, and yeah, I'd like to thank God that I don't have to wear that red suit anymore.
But along with this shot too, from the Save Your Tears video, straight out of Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, these are just a few of the many cinematic references in the After Hours visuals. However, as the pandemic continued, it was obvious The Weeknd wanted to use this extra time to explore his love for movies and TV, in addition to then co-writing and starring in an episode of the animated comedy series, American Dad.
So yeah, I'm a virgin.
Why?
Containing my seed gives me superpowers other singers don't possess. Right now, I'm using my virgin power to win Grammys.
And also voicing characters in the 200th episode of Robot Chicken. After headlining the 2021 Super Bowl in Tampa, then came this official announcement, revealing that The Weeknd was officially teaming up with HBO for a new TV series called The Idol. But despite getting announced in fall of 2021 though, no one was prepared for the nightmare that ensued. The first major sign of trouble for The Idol came in spring of 2022 when the series' initial director, Amy Simons, unexpectedly quit after already having filmed 80% of the series. There was little explanation for the shakeup, except for reports that co-creator The Weeknd felt that the show was heading too much into a female perspective. Not the best news to hit the internet for you as an artist, but this was just the start of the viral backlash this show would bring.
What?
As more clips of Abel's acting went viral, thanks to this Rolling Stone article with the headline, The Idol, How HBO's Next Euphoria Became Twisted Torture. We can learn exactly why this project was such a failure, which even The Weeknd admits. Following the director's sudden departure, then stepped in this guy, Sam Levinson, who some of you may know is the creator of HBO's popular series Euphoria. With the help of The Weeknd's vision and allegedly more than 20 rewrites to the script, this resulted in multiple messy reshoots. Production ran way over schedule, and The Weeknd was forced to squeeze in shoots around his tour dates, which soon resulted in him experiencing sleep paralysis. For a while there, Abel worried that, quote, "this is what filmmaking is. Hell." However, after the show would premiere on HBO in June of 2023, had The Weeknd's hard work finally paid off? Well, starring Johnny Depp's daughter Lily Rose Depp, who plays a female pop star named Jocelyn, and a hilarious cameo by Mike Dean.
Mike Dean's coming.
The Idol not only explores Jocelyn's struggling career as an artist, but also her complex relationship with this guy named Tetros, played by The Weeknd. Tetros is a sleazy and slimy club owner with a rat tail, who's obsessed with sex and playing with his nose.
You're smart. Wanna do some?
No, all in LA has fentanyl in it.
Not mine.
As also the leader of a cult-like group of aspiring musicians, many fans point to The Weeknd's decision to play this role of Tetros as a big mistake. wouldn't playing a creepy and abusive person in the music industry be a bad idea for anyone who's actually very successful in the music industry, one fan comments. Now, people think of Tetros whenever they see The Weeknd.
If you're writing a show about how women and their bodies are exploited for profit in the music industry, why would you choose to write a character who wants to do all those things? That character can exist, that person exists in real life, but not for your show, which is supposed to be about how that exploitation is bad. Why would you make a protagonist that likes it? It honestly just speaks to what the creators were thinking and how they truly feel about these topics and how they were thinking about it when they made it.
Again, according to Rolling Stone's article, although the original script of The Idol was set to contain nudity, production sources claimed that their new draft dramatically ramped up the explicit content, and that they had made it less about a troubled star falling victim to an industry figure, into more of a degrading love story with a hollow message that even some crew members themselves described as being offensive.
Let me catch you looking at her again. Let me catch you looking at her again.
I'm not.
Let me catch you looking at her again.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Let me catch you looking at her again. I'll fucking drag you down Rodeo while your fucking ass just fucking stomp you. I'll fucking curb stomp you.
I'm sorry.
I'll fucking curb stomp you.
For some fans, watching The Weeknd poorly portray this character was enough to completely turn them away. This looks like a YouTube skit, the top comment reads. And although Tetros is supposed to be this creepy dude who rams lines every other scene, to cut him some slack, but at the same time, even his biggest fans will admit The Weeknd's acting was not good in The Idol. However, did The Weeknd care? At Rolling Stone, did we upset you? Reads this post by The Weeknd immediately following their article, along with including this clip from a scene in The Idol, where they actually talk about how Rolling Stone fell off.
So, Rolling Stone came back to us about a cover, and I think it's worth pursuing.
Rolling Stone? Are they a little irrelevant?
But Abel didn't stop there. Firing back at more fans, his ego only dug him deeper. Bruh, if you don't shave that shit stain off your chin, lol, he typed back to one user on Twitter. Someone hurry, please tell me why I hate something everyone is telling me to hate. Hurry before I come up with my own opinion. Go cry about it more. For the first time in his career, The Weeknd was getting hated on for his acting, and combined with getting slammed online by fans and critics, currently sitting at just 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. In 2023, it was then announced that The Idol was officially getting cancelled after just one season, much to Lily Rose Depp's disappointment.
I mean, yes and no. Like, I think the thing that sucked about that was to have people kind of like talking shit about Sam, who is a great friend of mine and somebody that I consider like family. I love that character, and I love that show.
You know, we're all so proud of what we made. It's controversial, you know, it is. And as you know, I'm no stranger to it. Sam is no stranger to it. HBO is no stranger, you know, they're not strangers. I mean, we're just excited for people to finally watch it.
The Idol was far from the smash hit series they had all hoped for. However, it was actually while filming the very last scene of The Idol at SoFi Stadium where The Weeknd's debut movie was inspired.
It's loosely based on an incident that happened to me a few years back.
Talk about this, because this is kind of insane.
So at SoFi in Los Angeles, I'd lost my voice. I put a lot of, self-imposed pressure on myself, and I lost my voice in front of like 80,000 people. And I, slowly figured out that it wasn't a physical injury, it was more of like a psychological thing going on.
On the final night of his US stadium tour in 2022 at the Charger Stadium in LA, The Weeknd's worst fear came true. I ran backstage to find my vocal coach. I can't sing, it's not coming out, he said, later going on to also become the title of a song on his album. This was the first time I couldn't just escape. My body was like, you can't sing it away, you have to figure it out. As much pain as it brought him to let 80,000 fans down, sadly, The Weeknd was then forced to make this announcement.
I don't know what just happened when I screamed, but I just lost my voice. This is killing me. I don't want to stop the show, but I can't give you the concert that I want to give you right now. I'm gonna make sure everybody's good, get your money back, but I wanted to come out and personally apologize and not tweet it or Instagram it or whatever. I want you guys to know that I can't give you what I want to give you right now. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I love you guys so much.
This concert had to be called off and rescheduled for a later date. However, what fans weren't aware of at the time was The Weeknd's crazy past 24 hours. The day before this last concert went like this. First, The Weeknd began filming the closing scenes for The Idol at the stadium, in character as the wild Tetros, before then going on to perform an entire 2-hour sold-out concert as The Weeknd, before next, right back to acting as Tetros for 4 more hours of filming that same night. And this overexhaustion finally caught up to him. The good news though was that they were able to wrap up filming for The Idol, with the final scene actually being filmed during the Weeknd's After Hours Till Dawn performance at SoFi Stadium, as Lily Rose Depp walks on stage in character and delivers a speech to the thousands of free extras in attendance.
My family, the man who pulled me through the darkest hours and into the light. Will you please join us?
As you could guess, fans in the crowd were confused, especially after The Weeknd came out dressed as Tetros for the final shot. However, despite the unfortunate outcome of his concert getting cancelled, again, this was exactly what Abel needed to spark his next cinematic idea. Labeled as a psychological thriller co-written by The Weeknd himself, if you've seen the movie though, I think you would also argue the total opposite. It was far from a thriller. Directed by Trey Edward Schultz, director of Waves and It Comes at Night, although some visually appealing shots for sure, this time, unlike The Idol, The Weeknd plays a fictionalized version of himself as an artist. Heartbroken by a breakup that sounds like it's his fault, and then pressured into performing by his manager, The Weeknd then loses his voice during one of his shows. Also co-starring Jenna Ortega, who plays one of his fans. As one meme puts it, The Weeknd giving himself another acting role where another young actress is obsessed with him. Despite this being true and pretty funny, was the movie any good?
And I would say that is also the case for Hurry Up Tomorrow, which, I'm gonna be frank, it is like one of the worst movie experiences I've had in the past several years. This film is so drawn out, boring, uneventful, and frankly cringe.
Shut the f up! Shut the f up! Shut up! What are you doing? What the f are you doing?
Whoever told The Weeknd he's good at acting is going to hell, reads this viral caption by Kira. With another terrible score of just 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, the hate has continued flooding in for this new movie, with users all over the internet begging Abel to hang up the jersey for acting. Described by other critics as, quote, a self-indulgent ego trip with absolutely zero plot, while some will argue it was just meant for his diehard fans, The Weeknd's feature film acting debut again went on to flop at the box office. So what happened? Is this simply more proof that artists should just stay in their lanes and stick to what they do best? Or was Abel's acting the sole reason this film bombed? With his back against the wall, The Weeknd was determined to prove himself on the big screen. Released alongside his 6th studio album under the same name, and including numerous songs heard throughout the film, including Playboi Carti's possible AI-assisted vocals on Timeless. As Abel tells it though, it's important to note that the movie idea came first.
The album didn't exist.
Exactly.
So we weren't making a film for an album. The album was inspired by the film. That's really important to know, because from the genesis of the idea, from the inception of it, after the incident happened, I always saw it as a film.
The Weeknd says he always saw it as a film, yet the majority of reviews remain lost and let down by his vision. Once more seeing multiple clips go viral making fun of his performance. However, after watching both The Idol and Hurry Up Tomorrow, I'll be honest, it's not entirely that The Weeknd is a terrible actor who should never act again, but rather these roles that he's taking and these scripts are not doing him an inch of justice at all. It's hard to outact a bad script. Don't get me wrong, a lot of Abel's dialogue deliveries are still awful, like this shut the f up one that went viral.
Shut the f up! Shut the f up! Shut up!
But although not as cringe when you're watching the full movie with context, at the end of the day, hating on The Weeknd's acting simply seems to be the internet's latest trend. Like, by no means would I say it's the worst movie of the year like Charlie aka Penguin Zero did, and in my opinion, Abel's actually slightly improved as an actor since The Idol. But while sure he probably should have still opted for more smaller roles first rather than diving right in as a lead, as it appears, this is far from the last time we'll see Abel on set acting.
And what would you say are your long-term goals with filmmaking now, having done this?
Oh, whatever just feels, it's all art to me, so if it connects with me and I feel inspired to make it, then I'm gonna make it.
But while it's safe to say that Abel Tesfaye will continue to explore his career in cinema, what about the future of The Weeknd? I feel grateful that I get to film my persona on 35mm and then light it on fire, he says. I'm sure every artist would love to do that, because it gets to a point where you don't want to be identified for something you started at 19 years old. The Weeknd felt like a 15-year film, and with Hurry Up Tomorrow I got to say cut. That's a wrap. At the age of 35 years old and now wanting to explore his other passions, only time will tell when Abel's next movie begins production. However, Let's all hope he takes a few more acting classes first.